thank you, Treasurer, for those fantastic words. And sadly, I'm based in Canberra, so my pidgin's a little bit rusty. Me save pidgin lick lick no more, so I can't do my acknowledgements in pidgin, but just please take the spirit and what is intended. I would just like to repeat the acknowledgements to all the dignitaries that have been, gathered here today. It's been an amazing conference thus far. I've learnt so much already, but of course, particularly to Prime Minister Marape and Lady Marape, thank you so much for hosting us here today. To explain why I'm standing before you, I'm part of an informal banking team that spreads across 5 government departments in Canberra. Just much like in PNG, banking affects Foreign Affairs, Treasury, Attorney General's Department, our equivalent of FASU, AUSTRAC. It is a whole of government effort. And today I'm going to start by outlining some of the challenges that we're having. And this is not just in PNG, but across the region. And then also talking about what the Australian government's done thus far and what we all need to do together. So to start with, and this is the most depressing thing I'll say, but this is just to highlight the importance of this issue. Between 2011 and 2022, Papua New Guinea experienced a 56% reduction in correspondent banking relationships. At the same time, transaction volumes increased by 127%. CBRs declined by half and financial volumes doubled. So what in effect that means for a correspondent banking relationship, which are absolutely critical to access to foreign currencies, international payment systems, and the global economy. Without them, communities risk isolation, economies falter, and families struggle to receive remittances. The stakes are high. Maintaining these banking services is essentially to foster investment, driving growth, and connecting PNG and the Pacific to the world. Or to put it in layman's terms, for those of us who are non-bankers like myself, essentially more and more traffic is going across fewer and fewer bridges. And those bridges are vital to international trade, they're vital to investment, and they're vital to ordinary livelihoods, because one of the very important functions of correspondent banking relationships is allowing remittances from workers overseas to be sent home to families in whether it be Papua New Guinea, Fiji, Philippines, all over the world. So that it's not just about high finance, it's about the livelihoods of ordinary people. And as I said, it affects everyone. Businesses, investments, governments, and this issue is about ensuring every Pacific Island country has access to safe, secure and stable banking. Australia is committed to working hand in hand with our neighbours to reverse this trend and ensuring enduring access to banking services. And just for a bit more context, Australia, in many ways, we participate in FATF and the Asia Pacific Group on Money Laundering, but we're all under these same regulations. This is a global challenge. This is something that US dollar correspondent banking relationships are one of the biggest challenges in this area, and is something that Australia too has to work hard to maintain. And we want to work side by side with the Pacific, but in some ways we are a price taker on these global regulations too. So we're all working together to meet these global regulations to keep our economies connected. So to that end, in March last year, when President Biden met with Prime Minister Albanese, in the joint statement after those leaders' meetings, we made an agreement to work together to facilitate greater access for correspondent banking relationships in the Pacific. And this culminated in July this year when we had the Pacific Banking Forum, which was a gathering of US regulators, US correspondent banks, development partners, Pacific banks, Pacific governments, all at the same table. And one of the sort of running jokes, inside jokes around correspondent banking is that it's always the reason correspondent banking relationships are declining is always the fault of the person who's not in the room. If it's government in the room, it's the bank's fault. If banks are in the room, it's government's fault. And if it's one part of government, it's the regulator's fault, not the policymakers. And everyone is well-intentioned. Everyone has recognised this as a problem, because this is not just a problem for Papua New Guinea. This is a problem, Fiji, those statistics that I gave you for New Guinea are quite similar in Fiji, but it's a global challenge. It is a challenge that people have recognised that the global financial system is cutting off access to many countries across the world, and this is not a sustainable state of being. So what was really powerful about the Pacific Banking Forum was that it brought all countries together, all the key actors together to have a discussion about how we reverse these trends and start to build even stronger financial linkages. And since the forum, which I will talk to more about in a second, Australia has been proud to announce a couple of major initiatives. As announced by the Treasurer last month, the Australian government is finalising negotiations with ANZ, who will be on this stage after me, to reaffirm their commitment into the Pacific for a very long time. And we're very excited about that forthcoming announcement. I can't give you the details yet, but that was a really strong partnership with ANZ and the Australian government, and affects the whole region. 8 different countries benefit from this, including Timor-Leste. And secondly, last year Westpac reaffirmed its commitment to banking operations in Fiji and PNG, and we know what an important part of the PNG. And just today, you may have seen, if you're watching the papers, that the Australian government has been able to secure a permanent banker to Nauru. We have guaranteed Nauru under a treaty provision, banking services, and we have announced that the Prime Minister announced today that the Commonwealth Bank of Australia will be banking Nauru henceforth. And this is something that we're very proud and excited about, noting that countries, as the Forum has already noted, PNG has quite a different economy to, say, Tuvalu or Nauru, but we're all part of the Pacific family, and we recognise we need to work together to meet what are both shared and different challenges. But we're very excited about the Nauru announcement that we're able to make today. And what these announcements underpin is Australia's unwavering support for Pacific financial stability and economic resilience. As Treasurer Chalmers has said, you can bank on us. And that's the message we want to send to the region about Australia's commitment to addressing these challenges. In addition to what I just talked about, in the Australian PNG bilateral security agreement signed last year, there is a focus on strengthening PNG capacity to combat financial crimes, enhance governance, improve justice. And that might seem strange that I'm talking about law and order in a banking presentation, but as the Treasurer mentioned, this is a key part of avoiding the grey listing, the FATF grey listing, which is a very serious issue for all countries that face it. We are working with PNG, and we are proud to support PNG's efforts, but it is to meet FATF regulations requires an effort across government, including with law enforcement agents. So Australia will assist when asked, and it's something we'll continue to partner with the PNG government on. We also have initiatives on universal and secure digital identity, which will make it cheaper and easier for banks to uphold anti-money laundering standards, which are so important in international banking relations. The experience of India is actually very interesting. Because of their improvements in digital ID, which it was a very major reform program, but they were able to reduce the cost, the average onboarding cost of a new customer from $23 per person to 10 cents. That is the power of digital identity. So we are supporting the World Bank with $3 million to support Pacific countries to look to make digital identity improvements. We're also looking for we're also working with the ADB to improve eKYC initiatives across the region. I could go into more detail. I'm happy to talk afterwards, but I'm conscious we're running over time. And we've also, with the Attorney General's Department, we're rolling out a program to improve governance in the Pacific. And finally, I'd like to also talk about the World Bank's new project, Pacific Strengthening Project. Sorry, I apologise, my mic's dropping in and out. I'm trying to stand next to it. It's not made for someone who's 6'4". So in August this year, the World Bank board approved a $68 million project correspondent banking project, which currently has 7 Pacific Island countries joined. It's an innovative structure that allows more countries to join should they wish. PNG is not currently a member of this project, and just let me explain it for a second. Phase 1 of this project includes capacity building, but it also includes a backup correspondent banking mechanism should a country lose all its CBR relationships. That is not relevant to PNG. PNG is a large, sophisticated economy. It has multiple CBRs already. The benefit for PNG joining would be, as the Foreign Minister said, would be regional leadership, and also to be part of the potential phase 2 of the project, which is aimed towards aggregating payment mechanisms, and that would allow potentially economies of scale and reducing the cost of remittances in the Pacific. Because we are very aware, and I don't have to tell anyone in this room, that transactions in the Pacific are higher than almost anywhere in the world. And we need to work together to lower those costs and improve the economic incentives for financial flows. So PNG is not yet a member, but their membership would be very much welcomed. So finally, solving the Pacific's banking challenges require a collective effort. It's not enough to identify the problems. We need to act collectively and decisively to address them. The responsibility lies with governments, banks, international institutions and local communities. And we want to work collaboratively to improve and, wherever possible, harmonise regulatory frameworks and compliance, make good decisions that support AML/CTF compliance, invest and participate in innovative solutions like the Pacific Strengthening CBRs projects and Digital ID, and foster partnerships between the public and private sectors to drive sustainable growth. To conclude this, the Pacific cannot thrive in isolation. Its success depends on connections to the global economy, to markets and to people. Australia stands ready to support our Pacific neighbours at every step of the journey. Thank you so much.